Hey everyone, it's Renee. I hope you're all having a very blessed day today. As some of you have probably noticed, I had to change the name of my channel to Lovely Lavender Wishes. The purple lady was a little bit harder people were having a hard time finding it, I guess, because there's a lot of other purple ladies out there. So I just changed the name of my channel. So Lovely Lavender Wishes. I had to have purple in it somewhere, but maybe that might make it easier for people to find my channel because my name is pretty hard, except, people have been getting it right. It's Renee LaDolce, and most people who say my name butcher it, but all the people who I have heard say it so far has gotten it right. So thank you all out there. But I figured today I'm going to take you, I've had a lot of people give me comments on this journal that I started making. I posted some pictures on Facebook, and I've been getting a ton of comments on how to do this or what I'm going to be doing next. So I figured what I'll do is I'll take you all on the journey with me. I'm not going to craft on camera for you all because you all would laugh. The whole video would literally be me sitting here at the table trying to decide what paper I want to use or this or that or whatever, and you would just be staring at pretty much nothing for hours because it takes me a long time. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take you along with me and in stages show you what I'm doing, and then that way you can take the ideas or whatever you see that you like and take it and make it your own. So I'll briefly show you how I do it, but I'm not going to take you step by step through this because there are a lot of tutorials out there and such, and it's pretty all self-explanatory as I show you on here, so it should be pretty easy. So this is really all I've got done so far. I've got my cover done. Now this binding is called the corset binding, and there's a video YouTube tutorial out by Bohemian Crafting. And she does a great job explaining this. So if you want to know how to do this, go to her site, Bohemian Crafting, and check it out. I am doing mine. I took her idea and kind of morphed it a little into my own. So I'm going to show you what I do because mine is a little bit different. And I think it'll work for me better than what she is doing. But again, it just depends on how you journal and that kind of thing. So I'll show you what I'm doing differently as we go. But essentially, all this is, so to put it together, you're gonna pick whatever size you want. Now I picked the height that I can just literally take an 8x11 piece of paper, such as like this one, just like an 8x11 piece of paper, and fold it in half, and it would fit. So I made this a little bit bigger. So let me check the measurements on this. Whoops, let's do inches. So it's a little over 9 inches by 6. It's like just a hair over 9 inches, almost 9 1/4 by 6. Because I wanted a little bit bigger than the 8.5 by 11 pages folded in half because I wanted them to nestle snugly inside the book. I might have to cut these down a little depending if they're hanging out over the side, but we'll figure that out as we go. So I literally cut 2 of those out and then strip in the middle. And I made mine a little bit bigger. This one is about 1.5 inches wide. You can make it as big or as thin, as wide or as thin as you'd like. I wanted this to fit about 3 signatures, and I wanted it to have room to expand. So hence you have the ties. But you can make it whatever size you want. If you can make this a 4-inch, middle if you want, 4-inch bind. So it depends on how big you want the book to get. So then I just figured out my paper that I wanted for my front cover and my back cover. And I took, I think it was this paper, and I cannot tell you where I got this from. I think this was from a digital kit or someplace online. I've got so many folders, y'all, on my computer that I have no idea. When I get things, I put them in a folder and I have no idea where I get them from. I should probably start labeling them a lot better, but maybe one of you will recognize that. It might have been a freebie from somewhere. I don't know, but it's beautiful paper. So I printed it out, and so you just put it on the cards or the whatever this is, the chipboard, and then cut the corners off, fold it over, and glue it all nice and let it all dry. So you're gonna have one here, and one for the strip. in the middle, okay? And then to do the binding, again, Bohemian Crafting shows you how to do it, but you're gonna start from the back and come out the eyelets. So first to do the eyelets, usually what I do is about 1 inch from the top and 1 inch from the bottom, if you can see that. And then it's about 1 centimeter in from both sides. So on the back, if you can see these lines a little bit. I drew a line down from 1 centimeter from this side, 1 centimeter from this side, 1 centimeter from this side, and 1 centimeter from this side. And then I spaced these out about 1 inch between each eyelet. So then I just would do lines across for 1 inch. And everywhere where those lines crossed is where I would insert an eyelet on all these sides. And that's it. I mean, it takes a little time, but it's very simple to do. So centimeter, 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 and then 1 inch in between, all the way down. And just draw the lines. Because you're going to cover this up, so it doesn't matter what kind of lines you have on the back. So it's really easy. And then you take whatever stitching you want. Could be rope, Bohemian Crafting, or no, I think it was Bohemian Crafting, or maybe another one showed they did chains down the side, which was really cool. I might try that next time. They did a combination of string and chains. This is just some ribbon I had. Now what I would suggest, I did this wrong the first time. That's exactly why you don't want to watch me do this on camera, because I get frustrated and I just get aggravated. But what I did is I took 2 lengths of ribbon, I doubled the length up, thinking that was enough to do this stitching and have enough at the bottom. So no, it was not. I will recommend that you take at least 3 lengthfuls, at least 3. I would do about 3.5 of the length of a ribbon. So whatever this size is, take a length, 2, 3, maybe 3.5, because you want to have this loose along the side. You don't want to pull it real tight because you want to have some give and some leeway. And I can make this loose more, I can make this looser as I go when I start putting my signatures in. So it's just going to depend how thick this gets. So that's why you don't tie it either until the end. So just wait on that. And some people, mentioned you can tie it at the top. Yes, you can. You can tie it at the bottom. I'm tying mine at the bottom because that's really how a corset ties, usually at the bottom. Also, I had this at the top, and I didn't want to take away from this charm. So I'm going to do my ties at the bottom, but you could do it whatever way you want. That's the beauty of it. So once you get all this done, the most time-consuming thing is doing the eyelets, getting the eyelets in. And as you all have seen on my previous videos, I showed the crocodile. If you don't know how to use one of these, because like I said in my previous video, this intimidated me and it was on my shelf for literally the longest time until I looked up a YouTube video, found out how to use the thing, and now I use it all the time. And it's really easy to use this on things like this. So I would recommend, doing this versus the hammer and, hammering those holes in and trying to do it that way, like I used to do all the time. So once I got this done and it was all dry, all set up, that was when my printer ran out and I had to wait on everything, and I had to wait to get my chain. I ran out of chain, but since then Amazon has come through, y'all. I got my printer ink, I got my chains, and so then I was able to finish this cover. So what I did is, let's see, I have a piece, if y'all can see, I cut out a piece of, what is this, cheesecloth, and just inked it up a little bit to make it a little grungy because it was pure white cheesecloth, so I just inked it up to make it a little bit less white. I had, in Happy Mail, I got some gorgeous fabric. Let's see if I have a little bit. Oh, here's a little piece of it. It was this gorgeous fabric that perfectly matched this album, which it was just one of those things I was like, oh my gosh, it works perfectly. So I have this, a piece of that fabric, and then I have a piece of, let's see, scrapbook paper behind, which I sewed up. You can see I sewed along the edge there. And then I had an image of a lady that I tore out. And if you all can see, look at that. Oh, you can see the light catch it. Look at that, gorgeous. I used my crackle accents that I showed in a previous video on my mini, let's see, my crackle effect mini tags. Remember, I mentioned that I was going to do that on this album, this journal. And so this is what I did, and this is how it turned out. So I put it all over that picture, and that is the effect. It looks so gorgeous. I love it. Love, love, love the effect. So that's how I did this part. And then all I did is glued a piece of lace and another piece of this fabric right here. And then I had some chain from this part, which I'll show you how to do in just a sec. And y'all are gonna laugh, but I was looking for a perfect little gem here, perfect little bead or something. And I had this earring. I had one earring. I lost the other one somewhere. And so this was a post earring. And all I did was I took the post and put it through the chain loop right there. Now, I didn't glue this part on yet. This was all off. I had all this and sewed it off first. So this was still not attached to the cover. So I would put this on next, and this was the post. So I put the post through and then just took pliers and bent the post. So the post is literally on the back of this. As you can, it's not through here. It's just on the back of this part before I glued it all down. So this was an earring, and it just worked. I thought it worked perfectly. And then the chain, I just took a jump ring and just attached it to the lace right there so it hangs. And then this bottom part is another piece of cheesecloth with a torn piece of the same scrapbook paper. And then these, where did I get these from? Ooh. This was a set of freebies from either Artery Maze or TLC Creations, maybe one of those. I'm involved in so many Facebook pages, y'all, and so many things that I get a lot of this stuff through all of them. So this was in a folder as well, but it came with a sheet of all different kind of book plates on it. So that's what that is. It's just a piece of paper and glued on there. So once I had all of this attached and bent and ready to go, then I glued it to the cover. Okay, and then glued these on. So this whole backing part I had separate. I attached this. I had my chain hanging down, and then I glued this down, and then glued the lace and the fabric, and then attached this to it, and then put this. Okay, so there's that. And in the meantime, if you want, you can ink up everything. Before, I would suggest you ink this part up if you're gonna ink, all the edges of this up before you do this. So if you want to ink all that up, that's what I did. That's one thing I forgot to mention, is I inked everything up before I put my eyelets in and did the lace. So just ink as you go. That's just kind of a given. You just always ink as you go. Now this part, let's see if I can bring this up. I mentioned doing this on my Corset Bible journaling page. And I said what I do is I insert my chain through the eyelets, and then I hook them with a little piece of wire in the back and kind of tie it up, so if this gets pulled on, it's not going to get pulled out. And then I just tape it down. And this will be covered too, and I'll show you how I'm going to cover it. So that's kind of how I attach those. I just pull it through the eyelets, put a little, wire here, or you can tie it up with thread or something. Just tie it together, knot it, so if it gets yanked on, it won't get pulled out of the eyelets. Okay, and so this is just a little piece of this same chain. And then this piece it was attached together. It was this piece with these two hearts. And I've had a couple people ask me where I've gotten these, and I, again, don't know, because I just collect things over the years. It might have been from like an old necklace or something from a thrift store that I found, or a garage sale or something, and I throw it in a bag, and every time I find little trinkets or little charms, I just throw in a bag to use for whenever, and I go through my bag. Now this was a different piece. This was attached to some necklace, so I pulled this off, and with a jump ring, added it to this heart. So when this hangs, that's how it'll hang. Okay. So that's it, but that took me all day to do, partly because this had to dry, because this takes about anywhere between 1 to 4 hours to dry, and I was waiting on chains, I was waiting on printer's ink, that kind of thing, so it probably would have been done a lot quicker if I had all that. So now people are asking me, this is where I differ from Bohemian Crafting. She starts putting on the inside and her backing right away. Now I'm going to wait because, let's see, I'll show you how it's going to go. I have this lace here, this piece of lace, and then I attached this material. It's a shiny material on this side. It's like, I don't know if you can see that. It's a really shiny material, so the lace kind of mutes it down a little. But this part is gonna go like this in the book. So this is going to get glued on next, and some of the lace is gonna hang out over the edge, which I like. Now if I could hold this, so when this is all together, that's what you're gonna see through these laces. You're gonna see this other lace piece through, and it'll make it look so pretty. You'll have that vintage antique lacy type. You could use any kind of material. I was actually looking for kind of like the material that Bohemian Crafting used. It was like a cream, like burlap kind of, which would have looked really cool as well. But I didn't have any of that. So again, I was improvising. I went through my house to figure out what I had, and this worked out perfectly. So this will be the next step that I'm going to do, is I'm going to glue this part on. I'm not going to glue this. I might just glue like a dot here and a dot here to kind of hold it, but I'm gonna just glue this part. And then the next step is how to insert, because everyone's like, well, how do you insert your signatures? The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have this for the middle. I measured this out, and I might loosen these up a little, this ribbon up a little bit to make it a little bit bigger, because I want some more space in here, because I'm going to have 3 signatures, and I'm going to be probably adding more as I go. These always seem to get thicker and thicker as I go, but I'm not going to sew it in right away. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the same paper that I used for the cover, and I am going to glue that to this. You know, the same thing, cut off the, well, bend this part over. Actually, I don't even have to. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm just gonna glue it to this, cut it to size, and this is the part that's going to totally glue into the book like this. Okay, but first, before I glue it in, I'm gonna glue this to this part, and then that's when I'm going to sew in my signatures. But again, that is not going to be to the very last thing I do, because for this journal, a lot of people like to sew their signatures in right away. For me, I like to wait, because I pull my signatures in and out, and they kind of get ripped as I'm pulling them in and out all the time. So this time I am keeping mine out totally, because I like to go in, I like to sew, I like to do a lot of things, and if it's in the book, it's a lot harder for me to do. So, and I also like to add things. I'll add envelopes, or I'll add, you know, I'm going to add some glassine bags and do a few other things. And I might switch things around. I might remove things depending on how thick it gets. I mean, I just don't know. And when it's already sewn in, that you know, that defeats the whole purpose. I can't do that. So that's going to be the very last thing I do. But when I do get to that point, I will take this, glue this to this, you know, cut it all. I'll cut it all to size, glue that to that. Then when these are all completed and done, and I have my signatures in, that's when I will sew them into here, and the binding will all be on here. Then this is going to get glued into the book like that. So the sewing binding part is all hidden. You're not going to be able to see it. This will be here, and then that's when I'm going to cut out my final sheets to go on the inside, and maybe I might put some, am I in the camera here? I might put some like pockets or something on here before I glue it in. So I'll sew whatever I need to sew on here, glue these in, and then that'll be the completed book. So you'll see the lace hanging out over the edge. but this will all be cut to size, if that makes sense. So this will be the inside cover. I'll have another sheet of this for this side, for the inside cover. This will be the spine area, and this will all be sewed in. And then this will be glued to this part in here. So when this is open, see, the only thing you're going to see, you won't see that spine anymore. You're only going to see the lace and the fabric, and that'll all be in. But this part gives it a little bit more sturdiness. So another piece of chipboard in here, when that goes in here in your spine area, that's going to give it a little bit more stability right there. And then when I sew my 3 signatures in, so far this one's 3 signatures. I'm hoping to keep it at that. But when I sew those onto here, after I glue this on, because I want this to be showing, I'll sew through here, right here, and I'll have all my binding on this, all, you know, my knots and what have you, you know, so you don't see it. Glue that in here, and then those will be inserted really well in there. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I will show you, once I get it done, I will show you, but again, that's going to be the very last thing I do. I'll be working on the book as I go. So once we get to that point, I can show you. So what my plan is for this whole thing is to kind of take you through in stages. So if I do a few pages, I'll flip through the few pages, I'll show you what I did, and I'll show you an example of, you know, how I did it. But I'm not going to have you crafting with me. There's so many YouTube videos out on that I mean, I really am not coming up with anything new. I mean, it's all out there, but a lot of people have been asking how I did this. So when people ask me, you know, how did you do this certain thing, or how did you do that? If there's not a video already out on it, I will definitely take you through it step by step. But for a lot of these, the step-by-step videos are already out there. Why invent the wheel when people already have done it perfectly? So, you know, but I just really wanted to show you how I did this. And this is what it's looking like so far. I'm so excited about this one. I think it's going to be a monster because I have so many plans for this one. And I think, you know, I'm going to be working on it in stages and going little by little. But again, like I said, I'll take you through the process, and I'll take you through my stages and show you. So then maybe you see something that you like and you can craft on your own and make it your own. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please, you know, don't hesitate to ask me in the comments below. I will try to make it a little bit, make more sense for y'all if for some reason it's not making sense to you. But I'm hoping it is. It's pretty easy, and it's fun to do, so I would love to see your creation. So if you all end up doing one, please tag me, let me know. I would love to see what you do. Well, I hope you all had fun. Have a very blessed day, and I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.